Hello everyone. Welcome back to another Commander review for Magic the Gathering. Today, we're talking about Darien, King of Kjeldor from the Cold Snap set. And oddly enough, I just played against, not necessarily as the Commander, but I just played against Darien in a Commander game where he was just in the 99. Very cool card, very fun, and the table actually, the rest of the table who didn't know who Darien was actually really liked this card and what it could do. So, maybe it was the commander. It might have been the commander of the deck. But anyway, really fun card, and I'm excited to talk about it, especially because in between making this slide and now recording this video, I have gone up against Darien once again. Darien is a legendary human soldier, 3/3 for power and toughness, and a mana value of 6, 4 generic and 2 white. Darien has a triggered ability. Whenever you're dealt damage, you may create that many 1/1 white soldier creature tokens, which is very cool. It's a great deterrent against your opponents because they know if they're going to damage you, you're going to build an army from that, and then they're going to swing back at you for all that damage, which is very, very cool. No card rulings for this commander. One thing I do want to clarify, which was a question that got up when we played with Darien, was there was a lose life effect on the battlefield. And they asked me about, hey, if I'm going to lose life from this effect, do I still make the tokens? And just to be clear, losing life is not the let me rephrase that. Just to be clear about the difference between damage and loss of life. Damage is loss of life. However, losing life is not necessarily damage. It's kind of a square is a rectangle, but a rectangle is not a square argument. It's the same thing. Damage is losing life, but losing life does not always come from taking damage. So they are two separate things. So if you're ever curious about when Darien triggers, it only cares about when you are damaged, whether it's by a burn spell, by combat damage. Things that are like target opponent loses a life does not trigger Darien. And a card to synergize with Darien is Nomad Stadium, which is a land that enters untapped, oddly enough, very cool, and it makes white mana. However, it deals 1 damage to you. So normally this would be a downside, but with the right setup, this actually could be amazing because it's going to deal 1 damage to you every time you tap it for mana to cast your spells, which is in turn going to make a soldier. And then depending on how you build this archetype, or how you build the Darien deck, if you have Nomad Stadium in your deck, you could have like a couple of Soul Sister effects where you make a soldier and then you gain 3 life for every time a creature enters the battlefield. So you pay a life, essentially, to make a creature, get a mana, and gain a couple life. So it's really, really cool, actually, how it synergizes with Darien as a commander. And then, of course, trying to focus on fun, weird, or janky build-arounds for these commanders, because outside of this, you can look on any of your favorite websites and you'll find tons of different deck ideas for these commanders. So a weird, fun build-around for this deck is like a forced combat, give everything vigilance, and group slug commander where you want to have as much damage dealt to you as possible. So Angel's Trumpet does that great. It gives everything, it gives all creatures vigilance, but it punishes each player who doesn't attack with a creature each turn, which is very cool. And then, Fateful Hour is a mechanic that I think would be fun to have in this deck because you are trying to self-damage yourself as much as possible. You'll be able to get the most maximum effort, or the most maximum effects from your Fateful Hour cards. Just be mindful that if you're going to put yourself to like 5 or less life, that's like lightning bolt range, so you got to be careful. But I think this would be a very fun and unique deck to build around. There's some other older cards too that care about you having 10 or less life, or 5 or less life. which I think would be very, very interesting to build around. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And that is going to do it for Darien, King of Kjeldor. Really fun card. Like I said earlier, it's a great deterrent against your opponents because they know that if you're going to damage the Darien player, they're going to be able to have the power to swing that right back at you, which is really, really cool. The biggest weakness for this card is it is very creature focused and creature heavy because you're making so many creatures. So if they immediately board wipe after dealing all this damage to you, then it does actually kind of hurt at the cost of someone casting up to 2 spells in order for that to work the way they want it to. So there's still a little bit of upside, but it is a very creature dependent commander that makes a lot of creatures so you can then swing back and get your vengeance. With that said, very popular commander, lots of different deck ideas to build around with it, so it has the rank of S because there are, again, lots of different decks you can build around with this commander. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, or if there's any deck ideas or card synergies that you like to play with this commander. And, as always, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!